Deep beneath the soil of an ancient, forgotten estate lies a cellar that the sun has not touched for over a century. The air here is thick, not just with the smell of damp earth and rotting wood, but with a lingering, heavy scent of stale incense and old blood. In the corner, encased in a glass box stained with grime, sits the Jenglot. It is a tiny, mummified figure, no larger than a human hand, with long, matted hair that seems to grow even in death, and fangs that catch the moonlight through a single crack in the ceiling. They say it is a vessel for a cursed soul, a creature that drinks blood to maintain its unnatural grip on the physical realm.
For years, the Jenglot remained dormant, a mere curiosity for the occultists who owned this place. But as the house fell into ruin, the boundaries between the living and the damned began to thin. In the darkness of the cellar, the Jenglot began to stir. Its tiny clawed fingers twitched against the velvet lining of its cage. It was hungry, but not for the blood of animals. It craved a connection, a way to propagate its malice into a world that had forgotten it. It waited, its lidless eyes watching the shadows for a sign, for a host, for something desperate enough to enter its domain and succumb to its silent telepathic call.
From the sewers beneath the foundation emerged a creature of filth, a rat, but not like any rodent seen by the eyes of man. This was a king of the vermin, scarred, bloated, and carrying the mutations of 1,000 industrial poisons. It was drawn to the cellar by a frequency only the lowliest of creatures could hear. The rat approached the glass box, its whiskers twitching, its black eyes reflecting the malevolent glow of the Jenglot. There was no fear in the rodent, only a strange magnetic attraction. The Jenglot whispered in a language of clicks and scrapes, a siren song for the dwellers of the dirt, promising a legacy of terror. The glass of the display case didn't shatter, it melted, dissolving under the intensity of the supernatural heat radiating from the mummy. The Jenglot reached out, its tiny skeletal arms wrapping around the rat's neck in a parody of an embrace. This was the forbidden union, a merging of ancient Javanese sorcery and the resilient, plague-ridden biology of the underground. Shadows began to swirl around them, forming a vortex of black smoke that obscured the foul act. It was an infidelity against the laws of nature, a pact signed in the filth of the cellar floor. The air turned cold enough to freeze breath, and the very walls seemed to groan in protest.
In the weeks that followed, the basement transformed into a womb of horrors. The rat, now bloated to the size of a small dog, spent its days dragging scraps of flesh and hair into a nest made of shredded occult manuscripts. Its belly distended, glowing with an internal, sickly yellow light that pulsed in rhythm with the Jenglot's own heartbeat. The Jenglot sat perched atop the rat's head like a parasitic crown, its fangs permanently embedded in the rodent's skull, feeding it energy while draining its life. They were no longer two separate entities, but a single, grotesque biological engine working toward a singular, terrifying goal.
The sounds coming from the cellar changed. The scratching of paws was replaced by a wet, rhythmic thumping and a high-pitched, human-like whimpering that echoed through the vents of the house above. Anyone who dared to pass by the estate felt a sudden, crushing sense of dread. The insects fled, the birds stopped nesting in the eaves. Something was growing, something that defied the taxonomies of science and the prayers of the righteous. The gestation was fast, fueled by the dark magic of the Jenglot, which accelerated the rat's natural cycles into a frenzied, chaotic burst of cellular division and bone-snapping growth. Then came the night of the birth. The air in the cellar became thick with the copper tang of blood. The rat let out a final, agonizing shriek that sounded like a woman's scream. its body tearing apart to make room for what lay inside. From the ruptured cavity of the rodent's chest, a hand emerged, not a rat's paw, but a tiny, 5-fingered hand with long obsidian nails. It was followed by another, and then a head covered in wet, matted fur and long, black tresses of human hair. The Jenglot looked down at its creation, its withered lips curling into a triumphant, terrifying grin as the Offspring took its first ragged breath.
The creature that stood before the Jenglot was a nightmare made flesh. It had the agile, low-slung body of a predator, covered in a mix of coarse rat fur and patches of leathery, mummified skin. Its face was a twisted version of the Jenglot's, humanoid, but with the elongated snout and black, lidless eyes of a rodent. It stood 3 feet tall, its movements a jarring blend of animal speed and human-like precision. This was the heir to the curse, a hybrid born of filth and ancient malice, possessing the intelligence of a sorcerer and the hunger of a plague carrier. It hissed, a sound that vibrated in the bones of the narrator watching from the stairs.
You might wonder who is telling you this story, who could have witnessed such an abomination and lived to describe it in such vivid, agonizing detail. I have been the caretaker of this cellar for a long time. I was the one who brought the Jenglot here. I was the one who captured the rat and fed it the blood of the innocent to prepare its body for the vessel. I thought I was the master of this ritual. I thought that by orchestrating this union, I would be the one to control the creature, to use its power to claim what was stolen from me. But magic is a fickle mistress, and the Jenglot owes no loyalty to the hands that feed it.
The twist is not that the creature exists, but that it was never meant to be my servant. As I stand here on the stairs, watching the Offspring feast on the remains of its mother, I realize the Jenglot is looking at me, not with gratitude, but with the cold calculation of a predator that has found a better meal. The hybrid turns its head, its neck cracking with a sound like dry twigs. It recognizes my scent. It recognizes the blood in my veins as the same blood that fueled its birth. It doesn't see a father or a creator. It sees a host. It sees a larger vessel to occupy, a stronger body to claim for its next evolution. I am writing this now as the cellar door has been locked from the outside by forces I cannot explain. The scratching at the wood is getting louder. The hybrid is not just one anymore. The Jenglot has begun to divide, its spirits splitting and infesting the very walls of this house. They are coming for me, and soon they will come for you. For once the hybrid leaves this basement, there will be no corner of the earth safe from the plague of the Jenglot. The darkness is total now. I can hear it breathing right behind my ear. It's time to become part of the lineage. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.